Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Queen Alita and I have a word to share with you guys. It's a really awesome message. It is a message specifically around marriage. It's related to those of you, or it is at least for those of you who are waiting on a marriage promise from the Lord. The Lord has kind of shown you who your significant other is. You know them. I do believe in this dream that you know who they are. So it's for those of you who have that understanding and that clarity in terms of who they are, whether it is someone that you were in a relationship with and you know that that's your person, that's the person that the Lord has given you, or you are married to them but you're not quite with them at the moment. There's been some kind of a separation, but all I know is that you know this person, okay? And the word is for both men and women, but from two different angles. So there's a message for the women in this, and there's a different message for the men. So I'm just going to give you the dream and the message, and you will see and you will know what you have to do as a man if this word is for you, and what you have to do as a woman if this word is for you. So before I get into it, as always, it is so important to remember that not every prophetic word is meant for everyone. This one certainly isn't. It's for those people who have that marriage promise and they know who their spouse is. And so if that you don't fall into that category, you can watch if you want, but just know that this word isn't for you in this time. It could be for you in a future time. I don't know, but right now it's not. But I always encourage you guys to have that solid relationship with the Lord. That is so important. For some of you, God is confirming what He's already been speaking to you about, which is awesome. This is exactly the ideal situation. But if you have any questions, any clarity that you need, take it to the Lord. He will give you direction and He will answer your questions. Just learn to have that time where you just sit in His presence and hear His voice. He speaks. He's always speaking to us. So let's get into the dream. I had this dream this morning, and I woke up. This was the last dream I had, so it was the dream just before waking up, and I understood what the dream meant. As I sat with the Lord, He revealed more, but I had a clear understanding upon waking. So in this dream, there was a couple. They were in this taxi, and this taxi was kind of parked but not quite parked. It was supposed to be moving, but it wasn't, and it was a number 19 taxi. It's a dream, I don't know. So there were other number 19 taxis, and they were moving like they were moving as they should have been, but this particular one wasn't. And the woman was wearing this white dress which was very modest, like it was like all the way up to her neck, and it was long, and the sleeves were long. It seemed almost like a 1980s bridal gown, although I don't think it was a bridal gown, but it was one of those really full covering dresses. And next to her was her husband, but they were sitting in this taxi, but there was space between them, right? And the taxi driver was obviously there, and it felt like this taxi should be moving, but it just wasn't. All the other number 19s were going, but this one wasn't moving. So then the taxi kind of like parks, but not in a spot that was a parking spot. It was still a place where you literally need to leave within a minute. You can't be parked here too long. So it kind of parked there, and the taxi driver kind of turned around and he put his hand on the woman's thigh, and in that way of trying to, like, hey, I like you. And she brushed him off. She pushed his hand away. And she looked at her kingdom spouse, and he had seen that, and she looked at him like, did you see what this man was doing? And then the taxi driver asks, where are you going? And he's asking the woman. So this whole time, the taxi driver cannot see her husband. He just can't see her. As far as he's concerned, she's the only one in the taxi, but he's there, and he's asking her, where are you going? So she looks over at him like, you have to answer this. This is not for me to answer. She knew that she couldn't answer this. And he was like, the whole time, it's like he was thinking and contemplating and realizing that he had some responsibility. And he then responded, and he said the name of the place, which actually means at the fountain, that they were going to the fountain. So at this point, he moved closer to his wife, and he held her hand. He put his hand in the spot on her thigh where the taxi driver had tried to touch her. She leaned on him, kind of rested her head on his shoulder. It was a beautiful, cozy situation, and the taxi began to move, and that was the end of the dream. So what a beautiful dream, right? For those who this word is for, this is such an encouraging and beautiful dream, and I really pray that it resonates with you and that it gives you hope and encouragement in the situation that you're in this time of waiting and wondering, God, what is happening? So let me grab my notes. So them both being in this taxi shows that they're both in the same place, right? There's a spiritual aspect to this. Okay, this God was showing me the spiritual side of things between some couples, that you're both in the same space and the Lord is doing something, right? And you need to trust him. The number 19 is the number for faith and hearing, and I'm just going to read a little bit of that to you so that you have an understanding of it. And there are many when I looked this number up, this was the first meaning I came across, but when I continued to research, there were many other meanings, and I asked the Lord, which one, Lord, because this is the one that resonated. It really hit me when I read it, and it was the first one that I came across. And then I started to question myself, but the Lord said, I spoke when you read the first one. So faith and hearing. And it says the number 19 includes two things, faith and hearing. It is significant that this Hebrew letter is in two parts. So the number 19 has got two parts, Kaf and Hey. It is significant that this Hebrew letter is in two parts. The first pictures God reaching down to man by speaking to him. The second pictures man responding to God by faith. This is the force behind the number 19. It has two parts to it, God's voice and faith. Hence, it requires God to make a declaration before man can respond to his voice. Right, so some of you are in a situation where you are waiting to unite with the person that God has shown you, or you're waiting for that restoration after a separation, and you're wondering, what's happening? Why is it not moving forward? The taxi wasn't moving forward. It looked to me like the woman was the one that kept wondering what was going on as she was sitting there inside the taxi. She just kept thinking, why is it not moving? And this is for the women, right? You are wondering what is going on. Why is this thing not moving forward? And then something may happen. The Lord is giving you kind of like a heads up that something may happen that may seem like it's setting you back, because the taxi decided to park. The taxi driver decided to park the car. But before that, before I get into that part, I have to go in the sequence of the dream. The taxi driver had put his hand on her thigh and she had brushed him off. And her modest dress, what the Lord was showing through that is that a lot of you women that are in this position, you're finding that the enemy is sending people to try and kind of woo you, to seduce you into whatever, they're trying to woo you into. And you are keeping yourself in a state of purity. That white dress, fully covered from head to toe, from neck to toe, was showing that you're not trying to do anything that you shouldn't be doing. You're not trying to entertain anybody. You are keeping yourself ready for what God has promised you, for the person God has promised you, and you're keeping yourself pure for them. And the enemy's trying to mess with that. And the Lord is giving insight to the men. Okay, so as a man, if you are listening to this and you are in a position where the Lord has shown you who your spouse is, who your wife is, or you are separated from your wife and the Lord has shown you and made it clear to you, He is going to be showing you some of the challenges that she's facing, that the enemy is bringing these people into her life, trying to mess with her purity, but she is keeping things together because she understands the mandate, she understands the call upon her life, she understands that she is promised to you. So that is the part for the men in that part. And then something may happen that seems like a setback, and this is again for the women, because it really felt the woman was affected by the fact that this number 19 taxi was not moving and that it was parking when it should be moving. So it may feel like a setback is happening, and you may feel like this thing is not going to go forward, but it really is. It is up to the man. The Lord is putting it on your spouse to step up. Let me see what I wrote here. I wrote something very, very specific. The taxi driver asked, "Where are you going?" They need to answer that question. The man, the husband, needs to answer that question. They need to step up and speak. And once they realize, and once you men that are in this position that the Lord has been showing you, you need to speak up, you need to speak up, you need to have the courage. Where are you going? And out of his mouth came, to the fountain. Right? The name of that place means at the fountain. And this is the scripture that the Lord gave me, and it's Psalms 36 verse 8 to 9. You feed them from the abundance of your own house, letting them drink from your river of delights. For you are the fountain of life. God is the fountain of life, the light by which we see. And another version, that last part that talks about the light by which we see, it says, in your light we receive the light of revelation. The Lord is bringing revelation to the husbands, to the men that need to stand up and take a stance, that need to step up to the plate. Whatever separation happened, whether you're married to that person or not, the Lord has shown you this is your wife, and they are waiting for you. They're facing certain challenges. They're wondering what's going on. They don't understand why there's a setback. And in the dream, she kept looking to him. When the taxi driver touched her thigh, she brushed the hand off, and she looked at him, and he had seen that. The Lord is giving you insight, men, to what is happening. And when she was asked, where are you going? She looked at him, and he eventually answered the question. You have to answer the call. The Lord is not forceful, obviously. He's saying answer the call. He's saying take courage, be brave, and do what I have called you to do. Because I don't want to say now is the time. Seek God for the timing on when to do it, okay? Okay, friends, so I left out a very important piece to this word. I was on a time crunch when I recorded the video, so please forgive me. The number 19, why God chose that number, I already shared how it speaks about faith and hearing. And the Lord is saying to both men and women, whoever this word is for, that you've got to answer the call of God, right? He's calling you to answer his call. I explained the definition of the number 19. The number 19 includes two things, faith and hearing. It is significant that this Hebrew letter is in two parts, Kaf and Hey. The first pictures God reaching down to man by speaking to him. The second pictures man responding to God by faith. This is the force behind the number 19. It has two parts to it, God's voice and faith. Hence, it requires God to make a declaration before man can respond to his voice. The Lord is saying to you today, he has made a declaration and he needs you to respond to his voice. That is a message for the men. The women, he is specifically encouraging you to stand in prayer, to stand as that helpmeet. I don't know if you guys have ever heard one of my words many years ago where I spoke about what helpmeet actually means. And just to sum it up because of time, it means a warrior, a savior. Your job right now is to stand in prayer and ask God to give your spouse, your promised spouse, courage to be able to speak up and to step up. So that is the word for today. I really pray that it's blessed you. And I will see you in the next video. Always remember that God is a good Father. He loves you so much because you, my friend, are so deeply special to Him.